what we call BCS products here at Digium, which are the business communication system side. So the way our company is kind of divided from a business perspective is we have what we call CCS, or Custom Communication Solutions products, which is all the products and cool things that support Asterisk. So what you guys are here to learn about and to talk about while you're here, that's what we sell on the CCS side. So it includes TDM cards, gateways, codecs, those kind of things in order to support your Asterisk projects. Then we have the BCS side, which is the business communication side, which includes all the kind of turnkey commercial products. So we have Switchvox, Switchvox Cloud, SIP trunking, and the rest of the DCS products that Mark was talking about. So my role is to handle the BCS part. And so I know you guys, a lot of people here focus a lot about Asterisk, and that's fantastic, and we love to have you guys, and we're really excited. There is a segment of the market out there that kind of is scared by Asterisk a little bit, and that really likes to have something that is perceived to be a little more commercially supported. And so like what Mark described earlier is in 2007, Digium went out and said, you know what, we've supported Asterisk for a while, we're really happy with where that's going, but what we really need is a commercially viable product that we could put out there and brand as Digium product for turnkey PBX. And in 2007, we went out and bought Switchvox. So Switchvox today is the turnkey solution that we offer. So what we're going to talk about in this session is what's called Switchvox Anywhere, and something that we're really excited about as a company because we have a unique niche in the market with deployment options. And we're going to talk about how having multiple deployment options makes you flexible as a company and flexible as a partner, being able to sell these things, and then kind of protects your company from a lot of bad things that can happen. So before we jump into that kind of content, let's have a little bit of fun. So we'll skip the boring agenda. All right, so we're going to show just 5 kind of industries out there in the world that have been rocked by technology. So some sort of technology has come in and has completely rocked it and turned it on its head and has completely changed it. So let's start with one. The travel industry has completely changed with the onset of the computer system and the web, especially with the ability to have Expedia and Travelocity and all these really cool websites. So what you see here on the screen is kind of dead, right? So we have these kind of 35 millimeter cameras. We have travel books, traveler's checks. We have a guy in a call center doing travel reservations. All that is pretty much gone, right? So, and the biggest loser is the travel agency. So, you know, in the old days, whenever we used to want to go book a cruise or something, we would go down to the strip mall here in the US and we'd find a travel agency that was there, and we'd talk to somebody that had all these really cool brochures all over the wall of these really exotic places, and you'd get these really informational brochures and think, yeah, I want to go here. And then we'd sit down and we'd have this really hour-long conversation about how to, what we're going to do, and we get it all done. And we go on our trip. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. Now we just log in, do it all of ourselves. We can book a cruise in 5 minutes and be on our way. So the travel agency and that whole industry has really been rocked. With the exception of this guy. So this guy has kind of taken his business and make it a little bit flexible. This guy's name is John Madden, and he's a travel agent based in New Jersey. And what he does is he books exotic travel packages. So instead of just the basic cruise that you would take to the Caribbean here or to the Mediterranean, he creates like adventure travel. So I want to go and I want to, do a safari in the Serengeti, or I want to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or I want to go climb Mount Fuji, or I want to do these really cool things. And this guy plans those kind of adventure type travel plans, which would be really difficult to book on your own, even with a website, and this guy does it. So he basically took something that's his industry kind of got turned upside down, but he was flexible in his business and was able to overcome. The next one is video rental. So the video rental industry used to look something like this. So whenever we wanted to go rent a video, we'd go to Blockbuster, or there's all kinds of Hollywood Video, or whatever your video store was during that time. But now we have things like Netflix and Amazon Prime and all these really cool movie download places. So the big loser here are companies like Blockbuster Video. We don't have those places anymore. And again, Amazon Instant Video, Hulu Plus, Netflix are the big winners. And then there's this guy who has merged those two kind of ideas and has made the kind of put mini blockbusters in the middle of every grocery store here in the US. I know a lot of you guys are international. Do you guys have these video DVD rental kiosks at your locations at all? Okay, so all right, so this is a US sold thing. So there's these are in front of pretty much every drugstore, every grocery store, every bank. Now you've seen these places, and it's basically a kiosk that has all the latest movies and now video games. And so they've taken what used to be a dead business model to have a place where actually people went and got physical DVDs, and has been incredibly successful, and they're growing like crazy. So the music industry is another one. So the music industry has changed a great deal. So again, we used to go to stores here in the US like Best Buy or Sam Goody or Tower Records, or we used to go to these really cool places, and it was kind of an adventure, and you go out and you'd hear about the band that you loved came out with a new CD, and you would go, or new tape or 8-track or whatever, whatever generation that you happen to be from. And you'd go, and some of them would have listening stations, and you'd put on these headphones and you'd listen to it, and you'd flip through the little cards to find the one that you want, and then you'd have to fight with the little cellophane to get the stupid thing unlocked. So yeah, it was kind of an experience. But now we have things like iTunes. So if I wanted a new CD when U2 comes out with a new album, in fact, it gets downloaded straight to my iPhone whether I want it or not, right? With the latest iOS 8 release. So we have that with iTunes. We used to consume music differently as well. We used to have these things here. Discmans or Walkmans, or we used to have boom boxes. People would walk down the street with big stereos on their shoulder, right? People would it's just a whole different world now. Now we have music on all of our phones. We have our entire music library in our pocket, where we used to have stacks and stacks of records and DVDs or CDs and tapes and things that we'd have to find some place to store. Well, we don't have to do that anymore. Everything's in our pocket. And you get little iPod minis that are this big and can hold thousands and thousands and thousands of songs. So it's completely been rocked over the last 20 years. So the big losers are places like these. These are US companies. Sam Goody, Tower Records was a classic record store. I grew up in the LA area, and this is the LA Tower Records, kind of famous here. And it was a really sad day when the place closed down. And then Virgin Megastores kind of came on later, but they're pretty much gone now as well. Now, who's winning? iTunes, Pandora, Spotify. Spotify, if you don't use Spotify, here's a little plug for Spotify. You need to use Spotify. It's pretty awesome. You go online, you just listen to any song that you want, and it's free. And then they have a paid service to get the mobile stuff, but it's pretty awesome. But so that's that. Now, what has really been saved, as far as from the old days, is the live music industry. So these artists don't make as much money as they used to on CDs. The residuals and royalties that they get from iTunes and these places is not near what it used to be. So they have to find a way to make money. So if you haven't noticed, they're touring like crazy. So the live music industry has boomed since all these different licensing changes in the music industry. So arenas have kind of popped up everywhere, and those agencies that kind of run these things have been very, very successful, and the bands have been able to make money through the live music. Fourth is newspaper. So somebody, it was actually funny this morning, I opened up the door to my hotel room, and there was a newspaper on the thing. I was like, what in the world is this? I hadn't even held a newspaper in forever. So, so significant changes. So the biggest losers you have, there's, hundreds and hundreds of newspapers in the US who have completely gone bankrupt, and Rocky Mountain News, Baltimore Examiner. There have been some that have held on, but as far, especially at a national level, but it's getting few and far between. And what's winning now, you have digital news. We all get New York Times or Washington Post or whatever it is on our iPod or iPad, and it shows up instantly, and we just get it in the morning, and it's there. Nobody has to throw a newspaper and break our window, or we don't have to go down to the store and put our quarters in. It's just there. Craigslist, the newspaper industry made its money by having ads and classified. So now we have things like eBay and Craigslist, and we don't need those kind of things anymore. And then we have TV ads, which is still popular. But what has survived are these guys, the local guys. So this is in the US. I'm not really sure if this is a international phenomenon, but in the US, local newspapers are actually flourishing. So this is our local, Digium is located in Huntsville, Alabama. And so the Huntsville Times is actually doing pretty well. And now a lot of local newspapers are actually flourishing still because they focus on local news, which is much harder to deliver, especially in rural and small towns as well. And lastly, kind of last one, photography. Anybody here a photographer, say, 20 years ago when it was all 35mm film and I had to buy all that stuff? You couple? Right, so how many do we have now that are photographers or call themselves, you know, maybe amateur photographers that have a DSLR and can take pretty professional pictures right the second if they need to, right? Probably many of you are lying. I'm sure there's plenty of you that have it. So I know I have it, a DSLR camera. I can go out and take professional pictures. I don't have to worry about developing film. I don't have to worry about buying film. I just go out and take, in the older days I had to worry about, well, I don't want to take a bad picture, because if I take a bad picture, then you know that costs money. You know, well, with digital cameras, it takes me 5 seconds to delete that thing, and it's gone. So photography has definitely changed. Biggest loser, we have these guys, Polaroid cameras. They are still around. I've noticed that they still have some Polaroid cameras at some point, because I guess there is a little bit of market for somebody who wants to have a little picture, but for the most part, it's gone. And there was, at one time, a picture of a Kodak symbol here. Anybody familiar with the Kodak story? I don't know how disastrous that has kind of been. So back in the 70s, the Kodak actually developed the digital camera. So they were way ahead of the game, but their executive leadership and all their wisdom decided that that's not the future and kind of scrapped it. Well, here we are, fast forward. Kodak is not near the industry leader that they used to be, and has been a major change. So who's winning now? Really, there's two. Not companies like Nikon and Canon and Sony and people that can create a DSLR or point-and-shoot cameras and do it really in an inexpensive way. And really, the big winners are the consumers in this, because we can now buy a really inexpensive camera, take professional pictures, and then also it has sprung up a lot of amateur photography business. So there's a lot, that industry is much bigger. You can get pictures taken with, you know, graduation pictures and wedding pictures by a ton more people than you used to, and that market has really come and driven prices down as well. So it's helped us. And then there's this guy, so Canon. They also started to develop digital technology back in the 70s, and they decided at the time we were actually going to keep this technology on the back burner instead of scrap it. And Canon today is, you know, one of the top 2 digital photography companies in the world today. All right. So what does all that mean? So it was just kind of a fun exercise of just taking a look at companies who have dealt with industry change or dealt with something that has kind of rocked their industry, but have put things into place, ideas and staff and people that have been able to overcome that change. So just to kind of tie that back into Switchvox. So first, I just want to kind of describe a little bit about what Switchvox is. And I know some of you have been in here all day, and so you might have heard some things about Switchvox to this point. But if you haven't, Switchvox today is a full-featured unified communication system. It's built upon Asterisk, so we basically took Asterisk, have a GUI on top of it that makes it incredibly easy to use for all of your end users, gives everybody instant messaging and video and call recording, call queues, all of it's ready to go, all turnkey. And it's really easy to support for you guys if you want to resell it. Very profitable because you can put a lot of your managed services on top of it. And we have thousands of resellers just in the US and thousands more worldwide that run their business, and as a large portion of it with Switchvox. We support up to 600 users. That's actually in one appliance. So our largest appliance, which is the 470, supports 600 users. It is possible to peer those things together. So if you need to get bigger, you can. But realistically, the sweet spot for Switchvox is anywhere, or on-premise, is anywhere from 25 to about 400 or 500 users. Anything larger than that gets a little wonky for Switchvox Prem, but things can, depending on your particular environment, it may work perfectly fine. And then we also have Switchvox Cloud, which is designed for anywhere from 5 users all the way on up. Now, actually, the average user size for Switchvox Cloud has grown significantly. So what we want to talk about today is Switchvox Anywhere. And that's giving you guys the ability as resellers, as users of Switchvox, to be able to deploy your Switchvox in several different ways that allow you to minimize risk. So we have several different things. We have Switchvox On-Premises, which is the traditional way that we've always installed phone systems. Is we have a PBX that you put out locally. You'd hook up your phones to your network, and you'd connect your trunks, your PRIs, your T1s, your analog BRI, E1s, J1s, whatever it happens to be. You connect those, SIP trunking, and you're off and running. Then we have in the cloud, which we launched in March of 2013, which, again, as you all know, we host Switchvox Cloud for you, and all you have are phones. You put it out, put the phones on your desk, and everything is very, very simple. And then we have hybrid, which we'll talk about in just a minute as well. Quickly, just some big picture things that really separate Switchvox from a lot of the competition that's out there is we have all features included in one price. So that includes everything: unified messaging, Microsoft integration. You want to click the dial from Outlook or change your presence in Outlook, you can do all of that, all included. Firefox and Google Chrome, click to dial integration, Salesforce and Sugar CRM integration, mobile applications, chat and instant messaging is all 100% built into the product. Interoperability, we're based on Asterisk, so we try and carry as much of that open standards idea as we can. Even though it is a closed commercial product, we try and make it as open as possible, because that's kind of the culture of Digium. So we're based on open standards, and we work with any connectivity on the phone provider side. So if you want to use SIP trunking, you don't have to purchase any gateways or interface cards in order to make SIP trunking go. It just works. Then we work with all the connectivity that we talked about earlier. And then on the phone side, we work with any SIP-enabled endpoint. So if you have, Polycom or SNOM or Grandstream phones and you want to connect to Switchvox, you certainly can. Ease of use, you'll see through Switchvox. If you ever take a look at the interface, it's very, very simple. Everything is drop-down menus, quick links. It's all web-based, so you can access it from anywhere. From an IT perspective, that makes it great. I don't have to worry about people having Macs or PCs. It doesn't matter as long as they have, any of the major web browsers. It works perfectly fine. And then from a user side, being web-based, that's a great advantage because they can work from anywhere. So if I need to work from home, I need to work from a Starbucks, or I need to work from a, wherever it is I happen to be, a hotel room here at AstriCon, I can do so and have full access to my extension from anywhere. And then lastly, we have the extender phone system. So again, we try and keep our products as open as we possibly can. And what we do is in order for that to happen with Switchvox, in order to do integrations, is we have a very extensive and pretty simple to use API system that allows you to do that development. So if you want to connect your Switchvox to a CRM system, an ERP system, EMR system for medical industry, student database for education, you can do that and build those integrations, and it's all those toolkits are all included. Okay, so let's talk about those deployment options first, and to kind of talk about what makes Switchvox really unique. So first, we have on-premises. So again, that's having the appliances on site where I host everything myself. We have full control. You get full control of all the entire GUI. You have the ability to customize your system and scale to a really large connection size, and then those integrations that you can do as well. Then we have Switchvox Cloud. You have no expensive hardware, very scalable. So scalability is kind of a big deal right now. So there was an article that came out, I think it was late last week, that said that the economy, and this is U.S. economy, is kind of taking a bit of a downturn. And what makes cloud services cool in general, and even phone systems as well, is that the scalability with cloud is really, really a game changer for businesses, because my user counts can oftentimes be very volatile, or they have ebbs and flows to them, and cloud really makes that easy to make those changes. Take an on-premise system. I have 100 users of it that I've paid 100 subscriptions or licenses or whatever system that you have. That's what you've got for the year or whatever your renewal period is going to happen. It's kind of set as that goes. Taking in a cloud option, now I get 100 user cloud connectivity. Everything's ready to go. Well, maybe I've had a boom in my business. Now you get to 150 users, I can add users instantly. We have a portal, you go in, click and add users, and you're ready to go. Take it the other direction. Maybe you're seasonal, and like Mark was talking about earlier, you had that business in the Hamptons that it's now, November, and nobody's going to the Hamptons anymore, and my staff went from 100 to 60. Well, if you had an on-premise system, you still had 100 people that you paid for. Whereas with cloud, I just scale back, go to 60, and only pay from 60 to that point. So you can move with those ebbs and flows of your business a lot better with cloud than you can with anybody else. Limited management needed. We support everything for you and do all the updates and maintenance to the system. We handle all of that. Always up to date, so you don't have to worry about when a new version comes out, going through that whole testing process and making sure everything works and worried, well, want to make sure there's no bugs. We handle all that for you. You're always up to date. You don't have to worry about your subscriptions or your licenses lapsing or expiring. Everything's going to be up to date, and when the new features come out, they just work. And then operating expense. Talk to any CFO. Very, very popular pricing model or cost model for a company is using operating OpEx instead of CapEx. So now you can hold on to those capital money and that cash for other investments that are really going to grow your business, and then you can pay month by month. Then we have hybrid. So hybrid just kind of takes all of it and combines it together. So this is really common if you consider like a franchise model. So let's take McDonald's for an example. So full disclosure, McDonald's is not a gym customer, so we're just using them as an example. But let's say they were, or they were looking for a new phone system. A company like that would be a perfect option for a hybrid model. I have a large corporate office that's probably hundreds, or in McDonald's circumstance, thousands of users, where what's probably likely is that on-premise is probably the best way to go, just from a scalability standpoint and from a cost standpoint. Paying a month-by-month fee for 2,000 users would get very, very expensive very, very quick, right? So doing it on an on-premise basis is probably the best. But McDonald's has, what, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, I'm sure it's probably tens of thousands, restaurants all over the planet. And so I need to be able to support those 10,000 plus locations, but I need to do it in a simple way and inexpensive. And so cloud is probably the better option for that. So instead of having to put gateways at 10,000 different locations or an individual PBX at every single McDonald's on the planet that only has 2 phones or 3 phones in it, this just doesn't make a lot of sense. So you can use cloud for that. So you have your premise Switchvox in the corporate office. You have 10,000 locations that are all on cloud. And the unique thing about Switchvox is that we have the exact same software from our cloud service to our on-prem service. It's exactly the same. It's absolutely no different. You take a lot of the competition out there, they have a scaled back version for their cloud offering. It might not even be the same company, because they've bought some cloud company and they haven't integrated things together. So ours is exactly the same. So I can peer the 2 systems together, and they look as one big system. So I can take advantage of the benefits of cloud and the benefits of on-premise, and I can make it into one big application. So this can scale as big as McDonald's, but more likely for small lawyers' offices that have, a main location but small distributed offices, or healthcare organizations, or gas stations, or any place that would have some kind of larger core and then distributed workforce on top of it. So hybrid is becoming very, very common in the industry today. The other thing we can do is we can migrate. So Mark talked about this earlier when he was talking about Digium Cloud Services, is that we can now migrate from one to the other. So this example is on-premises to cloud. So let's say today I go out and I buy a Switchvox that is on-premises, and it's 50 users, and I get everything going, and I'm ready to go. Well, something happens in my IT infrastructure, my people, they kind of leave. The people who know a lot about phone systems are no longer with me. I don't really want to replace a guy that wants to manage the phone system. I'd like to spend my money on something else. I don't really want to deal with this anymore. So instead of replacing that guy, I can move my phone system to the cloud. I pay month by month now. With Switchvox, you take your last backup, you apply it we give it to us, we put it in the cloud, and you're up and running in minutes. And your users have no idea that anything happened because there's no change. You don't have to retrain them. You don't have to do forklift upgrades. You don't have to redo the system at all. You're just back up and running once the system re-registers. We can do it the other direction too. So say you started on cloud. Maybe I'm a small company. I have 10 users in my company. Switchvox Cloud is really where I want to go and get started. Just the best model for me. But maybe I have a boom. I've created the latest and greatest widget that's rocked one of those industries or a new industry. And now I'm 200 or 500 users, and on-premises is probably a better option for me. You take the last backup that we have in the cloud, you buy in a Switchvox appliance, you put it on there, and you're off and running and ready to go. Again, no forklift upgrades, no training for your end users, very limited and minimal downtime as well. So we can do the other direction. All right. So those are the things. So having the ability to deploy in many different ways can really limit risk. So you don't have to worry about, I'm going to put this large investment into on-premises. Is that going to be really the right way for me to go? If it's not, you can change back. Or if I want to start in the cloud, is cloud really the best way that I want to go? It's fine. You can start and you can go the other direction. Or do I want to put a big infrastructure and have to worry about gateways and lots of connectivity to connect multiple sites? You can do that all with a cloud or a hybrid option as well. So Switchvox can really do a great job of limiting those risks with deployment options. All right. All right. Does anybody have any questions about any of the deployment options, or just in Switchvox in general? I'll be happy to answer any of those questions. No? Yeah.
How many providers offering hosted PBX services?
How many are you saying?
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
I'm sure, yeah.
Why
So the same way that you would buy Switchvox over really anything, the ease of use. I'm sorry? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So he asked, there are hundreds or thousands of hosted offerings that are based on Asterisk. Why would somebody choose Switchvox or Switchvox Cloud? So it's a great question. So Switchvox, for the everyday customer that doesn't want to have anything, that just wants something that's easy to use, simple, but has all the latest and greatest features in it, then Switchvox is the way to go. The interface that you use is very easy for everybody. Drop-down menus and quick links, everything's simple. You have all the latest features, so you have your chatting and your instant messaging, and all your mobile applications are all built and integrated. Not to mention the integration that we can do with Digium phones. So we have really tight integration with Digium phones, so we control from the provider all the way down to the desktop, really, really great integration, everything branded all the way throughout. We also have the ability with Cloud to rent phones. So if you don't want to have any upfront capital investment with Cloud, we can rent the Digium phones now as well. So for as little as, I think the list is like $8 a month, you can just rent the phone. So for a lot of companies that have no cash to put out, you can just start renting those as well. So it takes the tried and true, fully featured product of Switchvox and puts it in the cloud on top of Asterisk. Now, you're right. I mean, there are some Asterisk deployments on the cloud that do a lot of that. But I think, Switchvox has been around since 2007, has been very successful, and has a lot of testing and energy behind it, and available in the cloud as a company. Yeah.
This particular crowd may be a little bit of a stretch to say, why would you do Switchvox versus Asterisk? Because everybody here is one of the smartest guys in their room, okay? And you can figure it out yourself. The thing is that most businesses out there just want it to work. And they really don't care what is on the box. And so we have a lot of hosted Switchvox that we provide in our data center, even before they got in the cloud. And we probably have about 2,000 endpoints out there. And the argument for it is they don't want to have somebody that they have to pay $60,000, $70,000 a year to that has to take care of the care and feeding of their phone system. They just don't find the value in that. And so to have something real tightly integrated that's supported by people that actually show up and they fix bugs and they make things integrate and they make it work, it's just it's actually a pleasure to work with. And we've worked with a number of other hosted type of solutions, and they're really not solutions. They're whatever that particular person wanted to do. And sometimes the people that build these things, they ultimately get married and they have babies, and they're not interested in waking up at 4 in the morning anymore, so the product suffers, versus buying it from an actual company. Just my thought.
All right, thanks, Ed. Any other questions that we have? Yeah. doesn't do what on the mobile sense? Okay, like a soft phone. Okay. All right. So the question was, is there any plans for Switchvox Cloud to be deployed on a private network, private cloud? And the answer to that is not in the immediate future. I don't think our product plan has always kind of been an over-the-top service for Switchvox Cloud. I'm not saying that will ever happen, but in the immediate roadmap, I haven't seen that as something that I've seen. Now, also the thing to note is that Switchvox Cloud is only available in the US 48 as of today anyways. So, but stay tuned to the website. You never know when that will change. As far as the mobile app, I will say that there are going to be some changes in mobile that are going to happen very soon. I can't really say what those are or what the timelines are, but we do have plans to do some sort of soft phone-like application for the mobile device that is really exciting and that will give you really great features that the Switchvox current mobile app has never been able to give you. So I would look for that in the next very short amount of time. I know that's really vague, and I'm sorry, it's the best I can do. Come talk to me afterwards. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. So the question was, he has a company that has done integrations. I'm assuming he uses Asterisk systems to do so, that integrates with billing systems and payment systems. So as I mentioned earlier, Switchvox as of today has the API tools available to do those kind of things. So if you go to developers.digium.com, there's a full API toolkit there today for Switchvox. So that gives you a lot of the tie-ins that are there for that. So it is definitely possible, and the tools are all available on our website that you could go and check those out. For sure. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? All right, great. Everybody now has, we finished about 2 or 3 minutes earlier, I think, so we have about a 35-minute break in here. The last presentation of today is all about the Digium Partner Program, so if you're interested in becoming a Digium Partner and would like more information about that, this is the place to be, and it will be at 3:30. So until 3:30, you guys are dismissed for a break. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.